Hi everyone, welcome to our NetSuite e-invoicing webinar. Today we'll be talking a little bit more about a hot topic, e-invoicing, and seeing, I guess, where you guys are all at with your e-invoicing projects and what you're doing currently with your e-invoicing. Always interesting to see. We've got quite a few people joining. We'll we'll wait a little bit more for everybody to be able to join in and join this exciting webinar today on e-invoicing. With me as well, I have my colleague John. Hi, John.
Yes, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Excited to present you what we have built on our site today.
All right, I see more and more people joining in, which is great. We'll give them a little bit more time, and then we can kick this one off. This presentation. We'll start with, of course, introducing a little bit ourselves and who Nuvotek is and what we do before we then kick off the actual thematics on e-invoicing. Okay, welcome everyone. So my name is Brett Lampert. I'm the technical director at Nuvotek, and with me as well I have my colleague John. Together we'll be hosting this webinar. John will later give an inside demo on on an e-invoicing integration that we've done, and I will first start off with giving a bit of context on e-invoicing and walking you through this little presentation. A little bit more about Novotek. Novotek was founded in 2019 by two senior NetSuite consultants, and since then it's been rapidly growing. We're now with 50 consultants, so we've been growing into a really trusted partner for that business look for financial operational business processes, not only NetSuite. I guess we also do more than just NetSuite. We are, of course, at core we're NetSuite, and we're supporting more than 150 NetSuite customers globally, and I guess more specifically, of course, in Europe. These 50 people that we have, of course, also are certified people and are people with a lot of skills, not only in NetSuite, but also in, for example, integrations. And I refer to iPaaS or direct integration developers, but also in spaces like Salesforce. We have people skilled on Salesforce or on Pigment, so a deep expertise on not only NetSuite, but also the tech stack, I guess, around NetSuite. Novotek is I guess a very European company with a big European presence. Like you can see here at the heart, we of course have our HQ in Brussels, in Belgium, but of course we're also have offices in various other countries such as France and the Netherlands, Spain, and also have consultants working in a lot of these regions to really cover the most of Europe. Let me introduce I guess the topic of today and give you a little bit of context on what we will be discussing today in this webinar and what you can expect from this webinar. So a bit of context on e-invoicing. I guess this year has been the year where the invoicing mandates have accelerated, and there's more and more e-invoicing sort of mandates that have launched since January 2025. It's been It's been a big year for e-invoicing and also for customers, of course, that need to get ready for these e-invoicing mandates, which of course comes with its challenges as well. Your systems need to be ready for that, to be able to transmit these e-invoices or be able to receive them. Your order to cash process needs to be adapted to that, so that you can actually have this e-invoice step as well in that order to cash flow. and every mandate is of course different. There's different models in the e-invoicing. For example, Belgium, uses a PEPPOL network where you can send in and receive your e-invoices. But then look at, for example, Spain. They're mandated more based on certifying the invoice, more like a government stamp that gets put onto it, and then you still send it off as a PDF with that on there. So different models, different ways to do e-invoicing, and there I guess we try to help our customers to put that into their sort of order to cash process. Also important to, of course, with all this new with e-invoicing, having to do everything electronically also means that your data needs to be as complete as possible. You need to get the right IDs, you need to get everything there, the right VAT numbers that you might need to be used as a PEPPOL ID, everything needs to be there. So there as well, there's also challenges there. That it's not just an email, it's more than just that. On the other hand, if we look at a timeline of e-invoicing, it's not something new. It's something that we've been doing at Novotech for quite a while, because it's something that's really been established already in Sweden, Norway, Denmark. A lot of the Nordic countries. It's already something that our customers are using and they're already integrating. But I guess the ones that are sort of now coming into play, and the ones that I guess are sort of new, are probably, of course, first and foremost, I think the one that we want to focus on today, of course, is Belgium. That will really start and kick off on the 1st of January with PEPPOL. But of course, there's other countries as well. In the next 18 months or the next year, will go live. Spain has been slightly delayed now with their, for small businesses and large companies, so they will have another year sort of thing to really get ready. But there's other countries like France that are still coming in 2026, but later in the year. Germany as well is one of these ones that there's already a part live, and we're getting ready for it. So there's a lot of countries that you might be operating in today that have these mandates and that you kind of need to get ready for. If we look at specifically focus on Belgium, so there indeed the framework has been put in place, and the mandate is there as of from January the 1st. All basically businesses that are VAT registered will need to do B2B e-invoicing using the PEPPOL network to be able to technically send e-invoices to the PEPPOL network, also receive these e-invoices from the PEPPOL network. And be fully ready to really submit your e-invoices. And of course, with these mandates, there's also a compliance of course to it. You have to comply to it, and you have to go for it and go with it. And if not, of course, they also have put in place a penalty framework you get to be able to indeed really push people, I guess, to really start using the e-invoicing from January the 1st. Maybe a good one to note is that there is recently now been communicated that there is some sort of grace period that they are sort of putting in, that if you are sort of starting your implementation and you really are, starting to get your e-invoicing capabilities there and ready, there's a bit of a grace period for Q1 of 2026, where you will be allowed to potentially delay those e-invoicing a little bit. So again, your main thing there is to say you're not too late, and you'll see that later as well, of where you can still start this process and really still go with some of our e-invoicing providers to really get you ready for this deadline of January the 1st and get your systems basically ready. We at Novotech, we sort of course, we have done this as well for a lot of clients. We sort of bundled all these sort of knowledge and all these sort of needs and services into an invoicing enablement Novo pack. That, I guess, it's not only the knowledge, it's also the processes, the same ways, looking at what countries are you in, and which mandates are in which countries, making sure that your requirements and your features are fully covered. Also understanding where you're at with your data, and making sure that we can sort of really help you with the transitioning to the invoicing, to that process, to getting your order to cash process fully ready for e-invoicing. And also, more importantly, we're also here to, I guess, assist to really recommend you and select the right e-invoicing provider for you, because it might be different for different companies. You might have different needs, and a certain e-invoice provider might suit you better than others, which takes me to, I guess, the next one, which is a little bit our approach. So we don't really have a single e-invoicing solution or platform that we work with. We have many e-invoicing providers that we partner up with and that we work with. Some of those ones you probably are familiar with, other ones might be less familiar to you. But if I think about, of course, there is the NetSuite native, I guess, which is what NetSuite sort of is offering with their sort of software services is Avalara and the Oracle Business Network, which we'll go into a little bit more detail. But there's also, for example, InfoPop and Bankup that sort of we've helped as well integrating their solution with NetSuite. With our NetSuite knowledge, we were able to help them to integrate their e-invoicing solutions into the NetSuite accounts receivable and accounts payable flow sort of thing, and what the best options were there. But our solution like Zone and Code that's already been around for a lot of times, also a lot used by our Nordic customers, is also there. And 4CE as well is another partner that we work with, and we sort of help them, and we have clients live on them already. So there's a lot of providers there. We of course don't have time today to cover every single one of them. But what we do want to highlight is a little bit, of course, what comes out of the box of NetSuite. If you're a NetSuite customer, I think it's good for you to know what NetSuite has to offer. And John will then also give you a bit of a demo of how we integrated InfoPop into NetSuite, and how we sort of streamline those processes within NetSuite. So without further ado, let's have a look at the standard NetSuite invoicing solution that's been provided. It's sort of built on top of what is called the electronic invoicing suite app that's actually already been around for quite a few years, I think a good 3 years. But they've also now released additional localization suite apps by region to really comply, I guess, with all these different mandates and these different sort of types of e-invoicing that are required. For Europe, for the EU, I guess, they currently support 3 main countries, which is Belgium, Spain, and Germany. And these are, of course, the ones that the mandates are going to be live very soon. And they opted to integrate with of course an Oracle product, the Oracle Business Network. So they will deliver all their documents to the Oracle Business Network, and then within that platform leverage the various trading partners to be able to transmit these e-invoicing to the correct tax and government and other systems. It all comes with, I guess, pre-built sort of templates as well, with all the data. Your current invoice data can then be converted to an actual invoice, which we'll see later as well. Their pricing is based on different components, so mainly on how many countries and mandates that they need to follow, but also, of course, like any, I think, e-invoicing solution, that will be also based on volume of incoming or outgoing invoices, which is also important in here. To sort of give you a bit of a high-level overview how that looks like, I guess, this sort of native e-invoicing of NetSuite. It all starts with the NetSuite Electronic Business Suite app, which is a suite app that allows you to register yourself as a company on the Oracle Business Network. Also allows you to provision account on Avalara to really get you connected on the Avalara e-invoicing. And also it also connects, of course, it's also the hub then to be able to send any documents to the Oracle Business Network, which then will use Avalara, and Avalara will then use these, will then really connect to any tax authorities or endpoints like PEPPOL or anything like that, or Verifactu, will all be done within the Oracle Business Network. These suite apps, these local suite apps that I've talked about earlier, these are basically mainly what they have inside of them is what they call invoice packages. And that invoice package comes with then a pre-built sort of e-document template that is specifically in this scenario. You can see one for Belgium. It's been really created for Belgium for inbound and outbound transactions. So that is sort of ready for you to use, and of course to customize if needed, but they are, ready to be deployed. How does it work from a flow overview? So I guess if we think about outgoing e-invoices, then of course it starts with a customer where you create an invoice, and you have to generate that e-document, which becomes for Belgium that becomes a UBL XML file that then needs to be certified. And certified, I guess, in this scenario means that we will be sending enough to the OBN, the Oracle Business Platform, that on and then we'll then use Avalara to send it to PEPPOL and get any responses back that will also be communicated back to NetSuite. If it is the case like in Spain, where you'd still have to put in a way a stamp or QR code on your invoice, then that will also work, and you will then be able to deliver that via email or any other sort of method as you prefer. But of course, for PEPPOL, the idea is here that of course everything is electronically, and everything will be done via the Oracle Business Network. Similar for the incoming invoices, but then of course starting from your vendor will send the e-invoice into the PEPPOL network. Avalara will pick that one up. We'll deliver that as an XML document to the Oracle Business Network. That document will go into NetSuite, where there will be a conversion done based on that template to then actually create that NetSuite vendor bill. So I think one of the important things to note here as well is that here in the NetSuite solution, the Oracle Business Network is really just a way to deliver XML documents and to send these XML documents through. There's not really any customer management or vendor management. It's just a way and a platform that you can send your documents and deliver them to the right trading partners, and they can then do the correct thing with them, which is different to what you will see in a minute with for example, e-invoicing solutions like Invopop or BankUp that probably also have a bit more vendor and a customer management. So as no further ado, then let's have also a look at what that looks like in practice, the Invopop demos. I will hand you guys over to my colleague John, who will now give you a live demo of our Invopop integration.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So yeah, good morning. Today I'm going to present you what we've built on the NetSuite side of things. So the main part here is, of course, to have the customer setup, which is mainly the main setup you'll have to do on the account. So this is why we've built a certain solution. So you can see here we have a get PEPPOL info, which can be either triggered manually, and it will as well run on a scheduled basis, a bit like of a VIS check. It will run every 30 days on each customer to make sure the e-invoicing information is correct. So regarding PEPPOL, and mainly Belgium and the other countries PEPPOL is going to support, we have a bunch of information that we have to provide. The main issue here, and that's going to be the main concern of e-invoicing, is that any company can have different registrations, participant IDs, as we call them. So you really have to see them as email inboxes that can be set up differently. So for instance, you could have, to respond as well to your question, Jean-Yves, you could have separate inboxes for the outgoing flow, for the incoming flow, and then you could even have a third one. You can decide as well to publish the participant ID, so the code with which you're gonna register that inbox to the PEPPOL network, which means that your providers, your suppliers will be able to find you, or you can decide not to publish it but still be able to use it. So that's something we've done on one customers of ours, for example, to separate the AR flow where we didn't publish the participant ID, and the AP flow where we did publish the participant ID. So here, for example, if I want to set up my Proximus customer, let's say I either want to edit it or to create it, we can see that I have a last check date here. And if I remove that and I just save that customer, so let's say this was the first time, we're going to see that all the information are going to get populated thanks to that PEPPOL info script. So this is really useful because this will allow you to automatically set up all of your customers, most of your customers, thanks to that logic. So if we go now to the invoicing preferences subtab that we've created, we can see that now all the informations are now populated. So if I edit this, I can just then choose to use invoicing on that customer. Of course, this can be parametered on the script to be checked automatically if you wish to. But here there's important things to know. So this is the 4-digit code that will be really interesting because this will determine the way of registering the customer on the PEPPOL registry. So the 0208, you can see that it is the numéro d'entreprise, Unternehmensnummer, or the company number in English, which is basically the VAT number without the BE in front. So this is, of course, the ideal scenario. This is the most common one in Belgium, but there is 3 different ones you could use to register a company. The whole point here is to know if you have the right inbox, as I was mentioning, for that particular customer. So this is why we have this trust level here, that here it was set to high because we basically what the script does is it's going to take the VAT number from the customer, and then it's going to make a query to PEPPOL and say, what do you have as inboxes for that customer? Here it picked up the first one, which is the 0208, the most common one. It picked up the PEPPOL ID, so the company number of the company, and it set a trust level as high because the match is really high. However, you could have companies that have different participant IDs, and in that case, we would set the trust level to medium, and then in that case as well, we would say that this customer would need to be manually revised. This will allow you to have some safe searches to pick up on the customers that needs a bit of setup, and of course, the use invoicing checkbox would be unchecked. But here in this scenario, we found that it was a high trust level, and that we can therefore use invoicing. We could also see that the script, the PEPPOL query, didn't find a correct matching. So it find the first one, but it's not sure about it. Then it's going to set it as low. And of course, again, it will have to be revised manually. How it happens when you do have a last check date, the script will run every 30 days, more or less, to check if the values are still correct. And in this case, instead of taking the VAT number, it's going to pick up both the ICD value and the PEPPOL ID, make the same query with those values to PEPPOL and say, is that customer still registered into PEPPOL? So that's about it. For registering customers, in that case, we are happy with that customer. And that's how customer setup would work. Of course, this is the manual way. The get PEPPOL info, you can trigger it manually. On save, when you don't have a last date, it triggers automatically. But there is also a scheduled process where it will run in the background every now and then to check on customers. And of course, we have a logic where it doesn't check on all the customers at once. It runs by batches so that it doesn't overrun your NetSuite account. Now let's jump into an invoice. I'm going to make a copy of this one. So this is a different customer that we have set up, but I found one of our own accounts. So on the invoice, what's interesting is that your regular process will not change. There is nothing special to do on invoice creation. It's just a customer setup. So here we have a regular invoice. So we just set one line to keep it simple for the demonstration. Do note that we need to make a tax mapping so that your tax codes can match the PEPPOL. How do I say it? What PEPPOL's put in place for taxes. So we do a matching once we get into your account. So that's part of the implementation process. So if I save that invoice, nothing special to do. I just save it, and here on the background we have a first script that will generate e-invoice document. Now, what's interesting here is that I will show you the demonstration with Invopop. When Invopop works a little bit differently. Why is that? Is because Invopop works with the same solution for different countries. So what they've done is, instead of creating the UBL document you've maybe all heard about, they created their own format, their own open source format that we have to provide from NetSuite, and then from Invopop, the conversion happens depending on the country you're going to you're going to issue an invoice to. So this is really important for this demonstration, which I'm going to show you now how it happens. Of course, this is a demo account where we have a lot of packs installed, so don't worry, the pack doesn't take that long on regular accounts. So here we have it. So we do see that we have a second status here that was generated. So this means that the e-invoice was generated actually on NetSuite side. So if we go here, we see that we have here a sub-record that I'm going to open. And if I remove the edit mode, oops, if I remove the edit mode, it's going to be clearer. So this is the actual e-invoice record. So this is, again, the process is very similar for all the different suppliers we provide. What we have here is the link to the invoice transaction, of course. We have the actual global document, which is the format that I was mentioning you previously. It is a JSON format, which is open source, and this is what InvoPop asks in order to convert it to different countries and different formats. So what we have here is we have a bit of the header information, we have the supplier information, we have the customer information, and finally we have the lines information. You also have the possibility to embed a PDF, which is going to be very important in the beginning of invoicing, as this is new to everyone. It's going to be very difficult to have very regular data on all sides. So the PDF will help a lot in the beginning, as you will see maybe in the AP process afterwards. So now that I have that e-invoice, again, this was just to show you what was generated. But here you can see that a new send e-invoice button appeared. If I click on this, this is again the manual process just for the demonstration purpose, but we're going to send that e-invoice to the customer, to InvoPop, which is going to convert it and actually then send it to PEPPOL. So we're going to see that in here. Normally it should have gone through. So it is invoice 62535. If we go back here, we see that it was already sent. So then it's picking up the status, and we're going to see how that happens next one. So here we see that the invoice was sent successfully, and then we can then close the window. If I refresh the invoice, we're going to see that it will have a send to customer status. Then I'm going to quickly show you what happened on InvoPop side of things. So there we go. So this is, of course, the process that was successful without any errors. But if there were to happen anything wrong, we have error handling on the e-invoice. You can see that we have error statuses, and we can have an error message as well, which will help you display what happened to the customer, what happened to that e-invoice. So here we have that same transaction. So that's the same format I was talking about. You have a JSON view, but you also have a UI rendering of it. So you can see that you have that same invoice, which was sent to the customer. And here you have the actual UBL document that was converted by InvoPop. So this is the one that is sent to InvoPop, actually. And yeah, that's basically it. So what happened on NetSuite is basically the replication of selecting a workflow. So here you can see that we have a sending workflow for PEPPOL. But again, on InvoPop, we could have one for Spain, we could have one for Germany, we could have one for 25 other countries, and that would work as well. So the idea, the main thing to remember here is that we try to build this solution in order to be able to manage everything from NetSuite, and that your end user, your accountants, won't need to go through any other platform, which can be pretty annoying at times. We support self-billing as well, which is important to note for some people. So that's the ideal process for AR purposes. Now I'm going to show you what happens on the AP side of things. So if I go back on my homepage, we can see that here I have InvoPop incoming inbox list on my reminders. So if I click on it, I'm going to be shown this page here. So this is basically your AP inbox. So whenever a transaction is received on InvoPop, it's basically directly sent via this workflow here. It's directly sent to a RESTlet. So it's a NetSuite script that will create a same e-invoice record that I showed you earlier, but this time it's on incoming. We have the global document again that was sent, and that's basically it. We have different statuses as well. So what's important for AP is that we decided to go for a draft bill record. So draft bill will be an intermediate bill. Why did we choose that? Is that we chose that because invoicing, as I mentioned, is new to everyone. It's very difficult to have good consistency between different vendors you will have. So we decided to go for an intermediate record that does not have any accounting impact in order to process a bill. So I'll show you that right afterwards. Note that if you don't have that vendor registered, you have the possibility to directly create it from here. And you can see that I have my e-invoice as a parameter here, which will allow me to directly link that vendor to the e-invoice and run the draft bill generation process again. And also, we have preloaded information of the information that came in with the invoice, such as the VAT number as well. So that's also interesting to know. However, I'm not going to create that vendor here because we'll lose precious time. So we have a scheduled process that will run every now and then. This can be scheduled on your account to run however you want. And this will generate draft bill based on the e-invoice information. So if I open this page here, we're led to that double screen here, which on the left will show us the basic render of the e-invoice. So note that this is really important. Why do we have that? Is that the e-invoice basically will become the only source of truth. So if you were to have an audit one day, your vendor bills need to match what was sent through the e-invoice. So that's really important to know. So on the left, we have the rendering of the e-invoice, and on the right here, we have the draft bill that was generated by our script. So what's interesting here is that it takes it here. This is an example of an expense one. So we have a logic where we first try to source the expense account set on the vendor. If there is none, we will set a default one that is parametered on the script. In the future, we'll also implement an expense automation, which basically will say for regular transactions, let's say for your energy transaction, for your phone bills, your energy bills, your car leasing bills, for example, the script, once you're going to process this into a vendor bill, he will say, oh, you've picked up a certain account for that specific item and that specific vendor. Would you like to keep that combination? If you click yes, then we will register that combination on a matrix on the vendor level, so that the next bill that comes in from that vendor will look for it, and this will be automatically populated here. We also support two-way and three-way matching, so that's important to know as well. In this case, I'm going to do an example with an expense. So here, the idea is the accountant can modify, adapt the transaction that was created by the script if needed, so that then for the vendor bill creation, the data might be corrected if needed again. So once I have checked everything and seems right to me, I'm going to click on that. First, I'm going to maybe show you the lines that were equivalent here. So now that I decided everything is okay, I can save. So either I save the draft bill without wanting to process it into a vendor bill because I'm not sure yet, or I decide to process it into a vendor bill. So we're going to do that. We see that this is processing now. In the meantime, I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain you why we chose not to go for a tax code. As you can see here, we decided not to go for a tax code because NetSuite, as you know, already has quite a bit of logic regarding tax codes, and it's very difficult on our side because we scratched our heads on that one a little bit. It's really difficult with only the e-invoice information to determine which would be the right tax code. And again, at the beginning, because data consistency will be very difficult. So what we decided to go for here is to have NetSuite logic kick in for the tax codes based on the vendor, based on the expense account, based on the item if it were to be items, and yeah, so we let NetSuite magic happen on that one. But yeah, it's possible that we might change in the future. But yeah, again, this is a process that we that we've been working on for a few months now, but we're looking to improve a lot and automate a lot of things. This is really important because as of now, invoicing, as I mentioned, is very new to everyone, and it's a bit mayhem on every side of things. So this will very much improve when we have live customers, when we have feedback from everyone, because currently, and it's the same for all the system providers, it's very difficult to have proper feedback to really know what will happen once everyone goes live in January. But we're in that process, and we are very reactive with new versions. So here we have, to finish up the process, we have the vendor bill that was created. I'm going to remove that iframe. So here we have the actual bill that was created. It's set pending approval, of course. So at that moment in time, your bill approval process will kick in, your standard one. No need to change on that one. And then you can see here on the expenses, what's really interesting is that we have the tax code logic that kicked in. We have also reported the amounts from the draft bill. So you can see that parentheses DB. So that means draft bill. That's really important because this will allow you to flag any discrepancies between your draft bills that was generated based on the e-invoice and the amount that was generated via the vendor bill generation. So this will allow you to flag those transactions that have discrepancies and to be able to adapt them so that they match the e-invoice information, which is, as I mentioned, the only source of truth in the eyes of the government. So maybe one last element to precise is that we provide, of course, all the required fields, all the mandatory fields that are needed in order to send a compliant e-invoice. This is something that can be fully customized on your account. We can add a bunch of fields. So basically, PEPPOL has given a schema where you have a bunch of fields that are available to pass information, which we can use. We can adapt the templates in order to pass this or that information that you would require. So that's mainly it on my side. I think we can maybe jump to questions if we have a few of those. I think you're muted, Brett.
Thanks.
There we go.
Thanks for that, John. Thanks for this this great demo. So to be clear, this was the demo of with Infopop, which is not the standard NetSuite demo. It's not the standard NetSuite solution that comes out of the box with NetSuite, but a solution that we built together with one of our partners, Infopop. That is an e-invoice provider in Europe that connects to 20 plus countries. Maybe before we go to Q&A, I just also wanted to highlight maybe also the next steps. You might be thinking, indeed, all of this looks very interesting. How does this work for me? How can I get all this, I guess? And we have sort of a bit of different implementation stages there, I guess, and it can be implemented in a very short time, and it doesn't really matter which invoice provider that you wanna go with. I guess the structure of that is all a bit the same. We really focus on, of course, getting the core right, getting you, of course, a proposal based on your requirements, getting you the right proposal, getting you onto the right invoice provider, and then really get you to start testing the core functionalities. Look at that stage already at customizations, but again, important to note that the customizations, we want to do it at the very end, as you can see in this timeline. We first want to focus on the minimal product so that you can actually send and receive e-invoices, and that you can also test that in your test environment, that you can run we can run some training as well with you to make sure that you fully understand the invoicing platform and how that changes your order to cash flow. And then, of course, we're there to support you, I guess, in those this first few weeks or months where you will be live with e-invoicing and some errors that might sort of come up. And then, of course, we're also there to sort of do any special or customization that you might need, that you might require, the things that may be different in your setup or in your flows, that we can actually customize that and really fully get you ready for that one. Let's go to some Q&A. So our next slide is the Q&A slide. I think there was already quite a few questions in the chat, so I think we'll be putting some on the screen down here that you can see. One question here from Anne. Does Avalara NetSuite have already customers which is working in Belgium? So the NetSuite suite app that's been released for Belgium, I think it's been released, I think, at the end of October, beginning of November. So there's definitely already customers that are using the suite app and that are already using the thing in Belgium and in other countries. One of the things indeed that we didn't really mention on the AP side of things is around the, I guess, matching with purchase orders. So that is indeed in our in both the NetSuite standard solution and in our custom solution. These are two things that will work indeed. So you will be able, the system will try and match a purchase order line to your bill, and then I guess do your standard sort of three-way match. If you use the three-way match workflow of NetSuite, it will go ahead and run through that workflow. So the most important thing is basically that vendor bill that gets created will get linked to your purchase order that was already created in the system, if of course it can find it based on the correct reference that was supplied in the e-invoice. That's also a good question from Dirk. Next to the image, does the company to be provided a PDF version of the invoice? There's a big misunderstanding. I think sometimes that people think that you have to do the two, and there needs to be a PDF and an electronic invoice. I think the most important thing here is that the electronic invoice is really the one that holds all the information and is the correct one, is the one that you'll be audited on. Of course, you can, and we also allow the option to, I guess, what we call embed a PDF in that e-invoice, so that you can also send that to it. It's not a mandatory thing. I think a lot of the e-invoice sort of access points or PEPPOL access points are probably not very happy with all this data that they get. That is not really mandatory required. So it's something you can do, but it's not, it's not really mandatory or something that you have to do. Indeed, there was a question, I guess, on the PEPPOL ID. Is that something from NetSuite or is that custom from Novotech? And I think there was also a generic question to summarize a little bit of what's native NetSuite and what's something that we've built. So everything that you've seen on that PEPPOL ID check and the PEPPOL ID is something that we've built from Novotech, because we felt that there was a sort of a space there to really create something where we can use the PEPPOL directory to sort of find and match data in your NetSuite accounts. That's something that we built and that we sort of use as an accelerator in our sort of e-invoicing implementations. So any implementation that we do, we also sort of supply this sort of e-invoicing thing. And to also summarize, so what's not the actual NetSuite sort of e-invoicing electronic business sort of thing, that's all standard. But everything else you've seen today, like the InvoPop and the Involve integration and all that sort of thing, these are all custom elements that we've built with as Novotech and together with the partners. So these are all sort of custom integrations that we supply as a product and that we help you implement, and then of course help you getting onto that e-invoice platform as well. Let's see if there's some other questions there. Yeah, so that's also a good question. So indeed, if the vendor bills, if the e-invoice includes an embedded PDF, then in the what we call our sort of split screen, where you can see the e-invoice and our draft bill, there, if it's embedded, then you will also be able to switch between views. You will be able to say, okay, I want to see the invoice as a render, as a sort of a render of the invoice information, or I want to see the actual PDF that's provided embedded, that's embedded in the e-invoice. So there's definitely the option to have that too. So that was, I think, we've also answered that question. So it was not the NetSuite electronic invoice feature that we've demoed. We've demoed a specific Novotech integration together with InvoPop, which is an integration bundle that we, as Novotech, developed and that we also implement and can supply to you. See if there's maybe time for one more question before we end this webinar. So the summarization I've already done a little bit. So the fact that we showed sort of mostly InvoPop as in the demo, But the presentation, of course, we've also sort of showed how that would look like in the normal NetSuite standard sort of framework. But the demo that you've seen is mostly custom elements that connect to third-party e-invoicing providers. Okay, then I think we can probably close this this webinar. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time. It's been very interesting having you all, and it's been a hot topic to sort of discuss. Of course, we're here, so if you have any more sort of questions and you would like to sort of keep the conversation going, then please do send us a request for a free assessment, or send a request to just have a conversation on this topic and see what the needs are, see how we can sort of with our timeline how we can help you, I guess, in the month that's left to get you fully ready for Belgium or for Spain or for any other country that you have inquiries on. So please drop us a line, get in contact with us so that we can keep this conversation going. I would like to thank John as well for this for the demo earlier, and thank everybody else of our marketing team as well that made this webinar happen and get this all seamlessly like nothing like they do it every day. So thank you for that, and hopefully to see you on the next webinar.
Thank you, Bert. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.